Marama Davidson.
E te mangai o te whare tēnā koe, huri noa ki tēnei whare tēnā tātou katoa, huri noa ki a koutou o Ngāruahine, kua tai mai nei mo tēnei pānuitanga tua rua, nō reira mihi atu ki a koutou tēnā, koutou, kia ora mai tātou katoa. He mokopuna tēnei o te nota me te tairāwhiti hoki, nō reira ko te ramaroa me pangaru o ku maunga, ko hokianga te moana, ko ngai tūpoto me te hikatu o ku hapu ki te taitoke rau, whakawhiti atu ki te tairāwhiti, anei te uri o Ngāti Parau, nō reira tēnā koutou katoa. Anō hoki he mihi ana ki ngā tai tamariki, ngā tamariki paku me ngā taiohi hoki kua tai mai nei ki te whakarongo ki ēnei tautohi anō reira, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora. Mr. Speaker, it is absolutely an honour always to be able to stand in this House and address the House and address our nation and our people on readings of tiriti settlements. Mr. Speaker, I started as an MP in November last year, and so I want to pay special acknowledgement to this Ngāruahine claim because this was my very first hearing as in my role as spokesperson for Māori development for the Green Party. The Ngāruahine claim, I was still fluffing around trying to figure out what on earth I do in this place, and I was heavily endowed with the honour of being the Māori Affairs Select Committee member for the Green Party. An incredible committee and an incredible privilege to be part of this committee that tries to do the best and make the best laws for our Māori people. And so here I was, like all of us MPs, I followed the directions in my diary on my phone, got told what plane to catch and where to drive to. I landed in a part of the country which I knew very little about. And I followed the directions and followed Auntie Google to get me to Hāwera, and arrived to Hāwera, and this was my very first treaty hearing experience as a very, very new MP, and I didn't know what to expect. I just was carrying an incredible sense of responsibility to do the best job I can as a Green Party representative and to hear what the people were going to say. So I rocked up into the Hāwera sort of stadium place, and there was the big panel. We'd all been seated and we had our lovely golden embossed little name tablets and everything up there, and I was late. I was late, and there was my name sitting there with no marama behind it, so I tried to sneak in sideways and inconspicuously to sit down and take my seat. Luckily in Te Ao Māori, the pōwhiri and the mihi often take a little bit of our beautiful time up, that is Māori time, and so I still managed to sit down in time to stand up again to give my whakapapa and introduce myself. And then I sat and I listened to, I think it was about 12 submissions that day. I listened, and I too, like everybody else, I remember Peter Moiahu, who is the inaugural chair of the mandated body, Te Korowai o Ngāruahine, who are going to take the claim forward. And like everybody else, I cracked up when he talked about starting the claim with one mokopuna, and I think it was ending it with 14 and some great-grandchildren. And, you know, while that was a beautiful story to indicate the length of time, I was also thinking, well, in my family, that could be 1 year. But it was a beautiful story to indicate not just time, but how our whakapapa moves and grows through the hearings of these settlements. They do take a while. We have children, we have grandchildren, and we lose our people at the other end as well, our kaumātua, sometimes the very ones who started off these kōrero. And so I wanted to acknowledge everybody involved in these fraught processes. These tiriti settlement claims are fraught every time. If there's one thing I learned really quickly coming into Parliament and being on this committee and hearing settlement claims, it's that every time they are fraught. And Māori have done fabulously to try and get anything happening and trying to get anything moving with how fraught these processes are. And this is where I also want to acknowledge all of those who also opposed this bill, including Ngāruahine, who were very clear, the submitters who came to us, who were very clear that they wanted to align in the Ngāruahine settlement, and they felt excluded from this settlement because it was said the Crown basically mandated that they were already part of the Ruanui, Ngāti Ruanui settlement. And so we heard that as well. And I want to acknowledge that. And yes, I too, like my colleague from Te Tai Tokerau, Kelvin Davis, am not one to stand here and pass any sort of judgment over the wedges between hapu and across iwi that arise in treaty settlements. I can't imagine what I'm going to say when my iwi turn up here, when Ngāpuhi turns up here in the House. I can't even imagine. But it's still important for me to acknowledge the sincerity with which every submitter brought their mamai, their joy, their range of emotions and stories to us on the Select Committee. So I pick up, for example, from a submission from Ali Hemara Wahanui, who supports the bill and says, while the settlement barely compensates Ngāruahine iwi for the injustices of the past, it provides the opportunity to implement the aspirations outlined in our 25-year iwi strategy to 2034. And so I'm always amazed by our people in these settlements. On the continuum, you've got people genuinely doing their best to move their iwi and hapu and whānau forward. Negotiators, kaumātua, marae and hapu engaging in these really fraught conversations, because you can never settle the injustices. They're never settled. And these claims are not just about a settlement, they are ongoing, enduring relationships. And we need to be very clear about that. Oh, already, Mr. Speaker, all right then. Ongoing, enduring relationships. And so I've quoted Ali as an example of the aspirations, and I'll also quote how Arokuku felt that this was a monumental Crown blunder, and our Māori have to deal with this process which sets hapu, marae, iwi against each other, and resulting from something that Crown did to us. And yet it's Māori that end up having these difficult, fraught conversations. And I wanted to acknowledge our people for trying to do the best that we can. And I also wanted to, I'll finish on the fact that Te Tiriti was a relationship with hapu. And it was set up, and that is partly why trying to settle with iwi is fraught. So, ngāruahine, ngā mihi kia koutou katoa tēnā tātou. Kia ora.